Game of Thrones has been off the air for almost 3 years. For many, it was an unsatisfying conclusion that many felt had lost the spirit of the source material. In many ways, the show had lost the spirit of earlier seasons as well. However, many have held out hope for a true conclusion to the world of Westeros by means of George R. R. Martin finishing the series of A Song of Ice and Fire, beginning with the release of his 6th book in the series, The Winds of Winter. Now brace yourselves, because it's not coming. At least not anytime soon, if ever. As many have read or heard, George R. R. Martin updated his website under his Not a Blog tab with a very telling post. I'll go over the key points here, but you can read this yourself at georgerrmartin.com under the Not a Blog tab. Updating us, George R. R. Martin made a recent post in his Not a Blog blog. Starting with, I look around and I don't know where 2021 went. I blinked and it was gone. Not a year that I am going to mourn much any more than 2020. A global pandemic, so many deaths, including friends of mine as well as celebrities of all sorts. Politics grown increasingly toxic. It was a year best forgotten. I did, however, get a lot of work done in 2021. An enormous amount of work. In truth, I seem to have an enormous number of projects. I am not complaining. I like working. Writing, editing, producing, there is nothing I like better than storytelling. I know, for many of you out there, only one of those projects matters. I am sorry for you. They all matter to me. Yes, of course I am still working on The Winds of Winter. I have stated that 100 times in 100 venues. Having to restate it endlessly is just wearisome. I made a lot of progress on Winds in 2020 and less in 2021, but less is not none. It troubles me that it seems that George R. R. Martin doesn't quite have a feel for the pulse of the fans for A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I truly believe the showrunners for A Game of Thrones bear the majority of the blame in how the show finished to less than stellar reception, but now we're getting into the territory of recognizing patterns, and there's a saying, when people show you who they are, believe them. A Game of Thrones, the book, which is the first installment of A Song of Ice and Fire, was published August 1st of 1996. Not even 3 years later, A Clash of Kings was published in November of 1998. A Storm of Swords published in August of 2000. Then we waited all the way until 2005 for A Feast of Crows. Then another 6 years almost passed, and we finally got A Dance with Dragons in July 2011. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss will receive no sympathy from me. George R. R. Martin showed on his last 2 books of the series that he really felt no rush to complete them, but 5 to 6 years is not the same as 11 years and counting. The bitterness with Game of Thrones stems from the fact that it was based on fantastic books and a very impressive first 4 seasons of the TV show, then a noticeable decline the further and further the show went without source material being available. I think many read George's update and may have gotten the notion of relief because the upcoming shows are going to benefit from his assistance and direction and maintaining canon. I do not share that sentiment. Some have been following the world of Westeros since 1996, and many others joined the admiration for George's work through the TV series, but you're still talking about waiting 11 to 26 years from the introduction to this story to have a true conclusion. I don't count Season 8 as a definitive conclusion, especially when you consider the numerous characters and plot lines from the books that were not adapted into the TV show. Now look, I don't say any of this to mean that I don't care about the quality of House of the Dragon or other numerous projects that George has working in the future based on the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, whether other books or TV shows, but we all entered into this fantastical world one way or another, and many of us have been left in almost a purgatory type of state with no closure to the original story before George is asking us to embrace his future projects. I think George R. R. Martin deserves all of the accolades, all of the notoriety that he's received, and we can all agree that the way the TV series ended felt like a betrayal to the series' earlier seasons as well as the books. But they didn't just stop making the show after season 5 and then hint at making season 6 for the next 11 years. At some point, George needs to take some blame and to be honest with the fans that helped turn him into a mainstream success. I believe the truth is, George will not finish the books. Winds of Winter is only the first of 2 remaining books. And George is 73 years old. We're at 11 years since the last book in the series was released. Ask yourself, do you think George R.R. Martin will be publishing 700 to 1,000 page novels well into his 80s? I don't. It won't be long before the hypotheticals and fan fiction will become the only true closure to A Song of Ice and Fire that we'll receive, making Dan Benioff and D.B. Weiss even more infuriating for us with how the later seasons of Game of Thrones were handled. And I don't think any of us should be entitled to think we're owed 2 new books, but the appreciation for them could not be overstated. Hopefully George understands what made us love him and the world of Westeros and all of his characters, and he has that in mind the next time he shares with us all the things we really don't care about that he's doing, if it's in lieu of Winds of Winter, if it's at the sacrifice of Winds of Winter, if it's at the sacrifice of the conclusion to A Song of Ice and Fire. Please let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are about this, not a blog post from George R.R. Martin. Are you happy to still get some more TV shows and potentially another Fire and Blood book? Or do you want our favorite author to finish what he started with A Song of Ice and Fire? Let me know and go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more Game of Thrones / A Song of Ice and Fire content and much more coming soon.